It might be the summer breeze, it might be the summer trees, but I'm feeling better now. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better.
Coming up on today's show, we look at three modalities that many people get confused by: the areas of chiropractic, biokinetics, and physiotherapy. We find out what these disciplines entail and how these professionals work together in order to help you maintain good health.
I'm feeling better.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Real Health. I'm Stacey Holland. It's awesome to be in your company yet again. Well, many of you, our viewers, have written in asking if it would be better to visit a chiropractor or a biokineticist. Some of you have asked when you should see a physiotherapist. So today's episode is dedicated to shedding some light on these pain management and rehabilitation professions. Well, we've invited into studio chiropractor Dr. Kevin Lenton, who's based in Cape Town, but he also travels to Johannesburg. Shay Bressler, a biokineticist and a CrossFit athlete, as well as Justine Hunt, who is a physiotherapist and a craniosacral therapist as well. Thank you for coming into the show, and thank you for flying up, Dr. Lenton.
Thank you.
I'm going to start with you, actually.
Sure.
You're a chiropractor, but you specialize in functional medicine as well. What made you want to pursue this line of work?
Well, it's actually an interesting and long story. I'm not sure how long this show is, but it goes way back to when I was a kid, actually, when I wanted to be a medical doctor. And I was a little bit more interested in my sport than I was in my academics. I didn't get the physics and chemistry that were required for medical school. And then a long time went past, and I was going to become a psychologist, actually. So I did a social science degree, majoring in psychology. And fate took a different turn for me, and I decided not to go into the psychoanalytical world at all, and went into business for quite a while. And in that interim, one of our family members actually was a chiropractor in Cape Town. And I found out more about the philosophy, the art, the science of chiropractic. And it just started to make a bit more sense than medicine. It was more health related.
Yeah.
I liked that. And so after working for 6 years in the retail world, I had a complete change of academic career, and so headed off to the United States because we couldn't study chiropractic in those days.
Okay. For people that don't know, what is chiropractic?
Chiropractors are, by definition, neuromusculoskeletal specialists.
Okay.
So we specialize in nerves, muscles, and bones, with a special interest really in the spine, but not exclusively. We look at all joints, right from toes right up to the occiput at the base of the skull, shoulders, knees, and anything in between, really. And it's really about retaining and creating function within the joint.
Okay, fantastic. Now, Shay, when I Googled biokineticist, I mean, I know what a bio does. It was something that I also wanted to pursue as well. It seems to be a South African term. Is that the case?
That's correct. So you're going to find a biokineticist in South Africa. If you want to go overseas, you're going to either look for something else, but me as a biokineticist, I can't go overseas and practice as a biokineticist. Okay. There are a few countries, and don't hold me to it, that are sort of making those opportunities available for us, but it's South Africans that have gone abroad and have gone and sort of tried to pursue a career as biokineticists in other countries.
And
so
what is it, and why did you get into it?
So biokinetics is where we use movement as medicine. That's pretty much what we like to tell our patients. We do the final phase of rehabilitation. So we often would get a referral from a physiotherapist post-surgery, your patient no longer has pain, there's no more swelling, then they come to us for the final phase of rehabilitation. So depending on the injury, we get you strong again, like you were before your injury or for your operation.
Yeah. Well, I have a certain fondness for bios because when I fractured L3 and L4 a few years ago in an accident, I had quite a few specialists tell me that my back was stuffed, and actually that was the term that they used verbatim, and that I just have to learn to manage the pain and deal with it. And it was a biokineticist who said to me, I actually think this is more muscular, and I think it's something that's going to take you a while to get stronger, but I think he had a more positive outlook. Justine, you're a craniosacral therapist and you're a physiotherapist. Did physiotherapy come first?
Yes, I finished school and then I went to study physio at med school. And then when I was living in London later on, I specialised in the craniosacral work.
And why did you decide to add craniosacral therapy to it?
It was always a special interest for me that I was interested in tying in a more holistic approach to the physio work, but it's more holistic in terms of the outpatient physio. But I love orthopedics as well, so I did a lot of orthopedics when I was in London as well. So
what does a physiotherapist do?
Okay.
And is the term physical therapist interchangeably used with physiotherapist?
Yes, because in America they consider us physical therapists. So that's just a different terminology that they use. But there's such a broad spectrum for physiotherapy that a lot of people don't recognize. We've trained in neurology, which is anything from your head injury patients to paraplegics, quadriplegics. So we do a whole lot of rehabilitation for that, for specific neurological problems. And then there's also, obviously strokes and things fall under that as well. And then there's orthopedics, which is pre-operative, post-operative, traumatic incidents, car accidents, broken bones and all of that, as well as your elective surgeries like a total hip replacement, total knee replacement. And then there's pediatrics, which is anything from working with babies in neonatal ICU that were prematurely born, getting their lungs stronger, working with their bodies and keeping them moving, and then progressing into early childhood problems, illnesses, diseases, but even just children that maybe have poor balance, poor coordination, those kind of things as well. And then there's outpatient physio, which is quite a broad spectrum, but a lot of people see that as a specific, like if you're doing specifically OMT or sports rehabilitation, then you've got your sports injuries, your sports athletes. But with that, if you're working as a general outpatient, you'll be seeing a whole range of different conditions as well, because you've got an elderly lady that you're doing post-operative care for total hip replacement, and then, for example, she might get a chest infection, and then you actually do respiratory care to help her get over her
So you
chest
can see
infection.
why people get confused, right?
Yes, because
There's a whole lot
there's such a, we've done our training in so many different fields, and then a lot of us do specialize into specifically like respiratory care, or cardiopulmonary. But there's so many things that overlap, and there's so many, there's so many conditions that we need to be able to have all the skills. And that's where I think people get so confused, know, and I often still have people say, oh, so you're a massage therapist? And I'm like, no.
That is a conception that still exists today.
I'm a glorified personal trainer as well.
Oh, okay. What are you? What do people think?
Yeah, we just chiropractors.
Okay. You're fine. Why do you think so much confusion exists?
I think it goes way back to the old days of what medicine was versus what health was. So we got the distinction of being called doctor, fortunately, going back many, many years, where the training that a chiropractor went through was very similar to medicine. The term doctor, interestingly, has nothing to do with medicine as such. It comes from the old Latin terminology, doctore, which is teacher.
Yes.
So the original health related therapists were supposed to be teachers of health. And so that kind of got changed along the way as medicine evolved over the last few hundred years or whatever it is. So we were given the distinction of being able to be considered primary healthcare professionals. So our training was such that we were able to make a differential diagnosis. So you didn't have to be sent to a chiropractor by a medical doctor for the treatment of a particular condition.
Okay.
You came as a primary patient. There was big confusion in terms of that, because even the medical profession didn't like that very much, because we were stepping on their toes. And there's been a tremendous amount of animosity, unfortunately, that has built up over many years amongst a lot of different professions.
But can I add to that, Stacey? Because a lot of clients also think that you can only come to a physiotherapist being referred by a GP.
I was going to just ask
and you can
that.
actually, we do full assessments and full diagnostics, and if I then feel that now this person needs to go back to a GP for further testing or scans, or for example, if it's something respiratory and I'm concerned about their heart, or because we do a whole lot of cardiopulmonary training as well, then I'll refer them back to a GP for all
So
of
the
that.
confusion with me still lies in, I understand where Shay fits in that she's final phase rehabilitation. That helps me a lot. Where would a patient make the decision to either go to a physiotherapist or a chiropractor?
It's a very grey area, I think. I'm not sure if you agree, Justine, but generally chiropractors manage pain. So pain is the main indication that will bring a patient to a chiropractor.
I'm actually going to touch on after the break the term doctor and teacher, because that's something that people have expressed their frustration with, is that I want to be empowered after I see a specialist. I don't want to keep on relying on the specialist, and that's something that I've experienced as well. Stay with us, because when we come back we find out, or we explore specific health concerns and conditions. We'll see you in a short moment.
I'm feeling better.